Coming up on today's episode of Airborne-NextGen, FAA restricts drone company after Florida show incident. Ukrainian drone missiles down 2 Russian helicopters. And much upgraded Starship Flight Test 7 prepares for a liftoff. And I'm your host, Holland Lee. Welcome to the Aero-News Network's Airborne-NextGen program, a weekly news program covering the next generation of flight, from electric power to vertical lift, uncrewed vehicles, and everything in between. Let's get into today's stories. FAA restricts drone company after Florida show incident. The FAA has placed numerous restrictions on Texas-based drone company Sky Elements after a 7-year-old boy was injured at one of their air shows. He was struck by at least one drone at the event and taken into surgery. The holiday drone show took place on December 21st at 6:30 p.m. This was the third consecutive year of operation, with the event consistently drawing in crowds upwards of 25,000 people. The 13-minute themed presentation has been organized and run by Sky Elements for the last 2 years. At around 6:48, the Orlando Fire Department was called to the scene under reports of an injured individual. Emergency personnel were on standby at a tent approximately 50 feet from the crowd and were able to assist until help arrived. The 7-year-old injured is reportedly the son of Adriana Edgerton. She stated that he was hit in the chest and head by the drones, with one of the propellers cutting his face. Edgerton also claimed that he was taken into surgery the day after the incident. The FAA has now suspended Sky Elements Part 107 waiver, which ostensibly allows operators to fly at night, over people, and outside the line of sight. This prevents the company from performing air shows until further notice. After the break, Turkey's Baykar acquires Piaggio Aerospace.
For over 30 years, the massive Sport Plane Resource Guide has provided expert, credible information, evaluations, and critical analysis of all that the sport aviation world has to offer. The all-new digital Sport Plane Resource Guide is coming with extensive multimedia features that are constantly updated, an even more comprehensive online guide to all things sport aviation. Available soon. www.sportplane.com.
Welcome back. Now for some shorter stories in our Next Gen Minute. Turkey's Baykar acquires Piaggio Aerospace. The government of Italy approved the sale of Piaggio Aerospace to the Turkish firm Baykar, who said the acquisition will expand its reach in the EU. It may also give Baykar access to the U.S. F-35 program through Piaggio, who supplies some components of the F-35 engine. Turkey has been part of the Lockheed Martin-led F-35 program, with several of its companies making parts for the aircraft until 2019, when the U.S. suspended the arrangement. JPL reveals potential Ingenuity successor, Mars chopper. NASA's JPL began design work on the next-gen Mars helicopter to replace Ingenuity, which ended up completing 72 missions before a hard landing damaged its rotors. For now, JPL is calling it the Mars Chopper, presumably until its official name is decided. It will be larger than Ingenuity, at about the size of an SUV and closer to the size of the Perseverance rover. Mars Chopper will also be more capable, with the ability to carry up to 11 pounds of instrumentation. Vertical Aerospace reaches financing agreement. Vertical Aerospace has secured approval with investors and shareholders that will significantly strengthen its financial position by as much as $180 million through both new funding and conversion of existing debt into equity shares. Documents filed through the approval of the transaction that will advance Vertical's FlightPath 2030 program to bring its piloted flight test program to fruition. Vertical's full-size prototype eVTOL vehicle VX4 is now in Phase 2 of flight testing. The company currently has about 1,500 pre-orders for the vehicle. Army tests drones for big picture battlefield view. The U.S. Army is testing drones for use by brigade-level commanders that will provide high-altitude views of the battlefield terrain where their soldiers are maneuvering. Recently, the Army took delivery of a Textron-made Mk4.8 HQ Aerosonde prototype and will be trained on its deployment for about a month. The contract is anticipated to be awarded by the end of 2025. That was our Next Gen Minute. Now back to the rest of the news. Ukrainian drone missiles down 2 Russian helicopters. The Ukrainian Defense Intelligence Agency has confirmed that 2 Russian Mi-8 helicopters were shot down, and a third was damaged by missiles fired from a naval drone in the first-of-its-kind combat engagement with drone weapons being deployed in an aerial attack. The agency also confirmed that the crews of both helicopters were killed. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry had posted a video on X showing one of the Russian Mi-8 helicopters firing at the Magura V-5 drone boat before the drone fired an R-73 Sea Dragon missile that brought it down in the Black Sea off the coast of Crimea. The social media post said, quote, "A Russian Mi-8 helicopter was destroyed using R-73 Sea Dragon missiles near Cape Tarkankut in temporarily occupied Crimea. Another enemy helicopter was damaged and returned to the airfield," end quote. The Defense Ministry put music to the video, the Christmas song Carol of the Bells, originally composed by Ukrainian musician Mykola Leontovich, in the city of Pokrovsk. Pokrovsk is a key target for Russia in the ongoing war with Ukraine. The missiles used in the strike were R-73 Sea Dragons, a short-range infrared guided air-to-air weapon that the Ukrainian forces have adapted to be launched from naval drones. After these messages, Starship Flight Test 7 prepares for liftoff.
Are you ready to ace your FAA drone pilot knowledge test, get your remote pilot certificate, and start earning money? Well, flying a drone is a great tool that can open up new business opportunities for anyone. Realtor, insurance adjuster, videographer, or commercial weekend drone warrior, you need to fly legally. Whether you're pursuing your initial Part 107 remote pilot certificate or you need a renewal, King Schools has a course just for you. So start learning today at kingschools.com.
Welcome back. Much upgraded Starship Flight Test 7 prepares for liftoff. SpaceX is gearing up to send Starship on its 7th test flight with a new and improved ship. Test Flight 7 will feature several improvements to the Starship upper stage. Its forward flaps were shrunk and moved further from the heat shield in an attempt to reduce their thermal exposure. SpaceX also upgraded the propulsion system by adding 25% more propellant volume and a new fuel feedline system. The vehicle received new avionics in the redesign, giving additional redundancy and mission flexibility. Engineers installed a more powerful flight computer, integrated antennas, and more cameras, streaming over 120 megabits per second of high-def footage for the team to monitor real-time. Starship will deploy 10 Starlink simulators on the mission that are similar in both size and weight to the next-gen Starlink satellite design. The flight test will focus primarily on coordinating the ship and its booster's return. In the 6th flight test, the Super Heavy booster was unable to return to the base due to communication errors with the tower. It instead performed a controlled landing in the Gulf of Mexico, and the ship splashed down in the Indian Ocean as planned. SpaceX is eager to get the booster catch right on Flight Test 7, and has made numerous hardware changes to the launch and catch tower to make it possible. And that's our show for today. You can catch episodes of Airborne on YouTube, Roku, or Fire TV. Just search for Aero-News or Airborne, and don't forget to follow us on social media. Thanks for watching!